I guess I can go ahead and get into it. I don't think we're going to have very many people come to this one, because who wants to be involved in the community, right?
I had 2 for my sessions, my half-day session.
Oh yeah, yeah, wow.
But one of them was the new director of communications for the VA.
Yeah.
So that was special.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. So you know, I have at least meaningful people here, because are you on the board or no?
I'm not meaningful in any way.
Okay.
But no, I run a group of user group out of Nashville.
Oh, cool.
Which has long since been dead for like 10 years now.
Sure.
Is Newton also plugged in over there? There's a what?
Aaron Newton also.
The name sounds familiar, but I haven't seen him.
That means he's not plugged in yet. So
no, yeah. So that's the thing is, like back in the day, we had something. You know, we did Drupal Camp 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. So there was some interest to it, and then we all got married. The kids moved out to Earth, never came to another meeting again.
Yeah.
And then now the kids put themselves to sleep. Like show back up, you know, and see who else is out there. Obviously, I love people in my community. Brian was all retired, so he's just not working anymore.
Yeah.
And then you know, so it's a mixed bag, but I kind of started back up. I had Baker's Dozen for the last meetup, and pretty good role this time.
Yeah.
So you know, just trying to do a small build out of the community because I kind of stand.
Yeah.
I've been here for a while.
So ADUG started going the other direction. So when I joined ADUG originally as a member, I think we were having like 60 to 70 people per meetup. We had a huge conference room over at in Dunwoody, and we were trying to find a place that was welcome, you guys. We were trying to find a place that was kind of central to a certain extent for people. But we couldn't find, I guess, a place that was best for traffic. And what happened was the meetup just started getting to the point where people were like looking at it saying, yeah, content's okay, but you know, traffic looks pretty bad. I'm just not going to go, even though they RSVP'd. So our percentage of attendees per RSVP actually dropped to probably about like 10 to 15%. So we'd have like 90 people sign up, and then 9 people would show up. So we'd have like a food spread for 90 people, you know, and that costs money, right? And so you know, we were literally pulling out of our cash reserves as ADUG, as a nonprofit. We're pulling out of those cash reserves just to host meetups for, you know, 9 to 10 people, 5 of which were usually board members. So it's also getting hard to attract speakers when you had that, right? When you just don't have the attendance, why is the speaker going to come out, right? So it became really difficult. So we decided, let's stop doing meetups. And for a couple of years there, it actually really was beneficial because we were able to save a lot of money and then focus all of our efforts on DCA when Media Current decided not to do it anymore. They put this huge blog post out on Drupal Planet saying that they're not going to do it anymore. And you know, they had a whole bunch of reasons why, as an organization, they couldn't handle it because the cost was so high. And we're like, you know, I bet a bunch of people working for free could do it cheaper. So that's what we did. Yeah. So, yeah, and you know, you've been here almost every year, right? Yeah.
that first one very well.
Yeah, the Kennesaw.
Copy of Pride and Prejudice and Vampires.
Yeah, but Kennesaw State. We had one year where people just kept coming out to the camp, and they were like literally just bringing us stuff. So we had like 5 boxes of these Drupal logo cookies that someone just brought by. And we're like, you guys just brought these by? You just had these? And they're like, yeah, we decided to just bring them over. Yeah, here's 100 of them. Wow. We had a guy just donate us, I think he's actually out of Tennessee, a Drupal 8 stained glass window. Yeah, so was it Lee that did it? Or he does that? I thought it was.
He has one from that person, or
I think he has one from the person. Yeah, because we had the business cards of the guy out here for years, and we just raffled that off. We're like, you know, we'd love to keep it, but you know, so it was funny. Kaleem talking about how many T-shirts he has. We literally had like 6 boxes of probably around 500 shirts left over from prior camps, and that's when we tried to.
Colored ones from 2010 or 9.
So what we did was last DCA we brought all those boxes out and we handed everything out for free. We're like, hey, you want a T-shirt from 3 years ago? Sure, here you go. You know, we just started handing them out. It was great.
My wife just ordered a blanket, and I love my triple shirts. Give me a big old blanket.
Yeah. See, I wish we would have known that. We probably would have been able to throw something together and raffle it off. That'd be fun. All right, actually, bring that up to Kaleem, because that would be kind of fun. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So this is going to be an interactive session. The whole point of this session is really not only kind of stand up here and tell you a little bit about, kind of how I've served the community and give you a different perspective than from a developer on how I've actually served the open source community, but also to kind of hear how you all potentially do it and maybe brainstorm some ideas that we might be able to try to spark even more involvement in the community, whether it's just Drupal or open source in general. So definitely speak up. Feel free to just go ahead and speak out. No need to raise hands if you guys have any questions on anything or anything like that. All right? So first thing, who the hell am I? Why am I here? So I'm a director of talent acquisition for a company called Charter Up. We're just right across the street. I'm also the former president of ADUG, and I was the board member there for the last 5 years in a row. I literally helped organize and managed the last 5 Drupal camps, with the exception of this one, as well as 2 mini camps. I used to be a PHP and front-end web developer before I became a recruiter. My personality isn't as much of a developer, though my looks are. But I tend, right after college, I graduated right at the end of 2008, and boy, it was a difficult time to get a job as an entry-level person. So I ironically got into staffing, and I've been doing that for the last 10 years, 11 years now. So being part of APUG as well, so I had a lot of interaction with Chris Spruck over the years. He runs the Atlanta PHP user group. I also ran my own open source development meetup for 3.5 years. We had about 1,200 members that every 2 weeks I did training. We had a beginner, intermediate, and advanced track for HTML, CSS, SQL, PHP, computer building, laptop repair. We even did resume writing, interviewing skills, all that kind of stuff. And APUG, ADUG, and I want to say 2 or 3 other meetups that I had involved were sending us all the people that would come out to their meetups, not have any idea how to actually use the technology, going to that meetup to learn the technology. So it's hard to go to a Drupal meetup and learn Drupal because it's over a segment of a very finite feature or something like that. Hey, we're going to talk about Angular with Drupal. They're not talking about how to build Drupal from scratch, right? Or like an introduction to Drupal training. PHP user group, the Adobe user group, all that, they all act the same way. They're all very niche, and they have niche speakers come in because it's pandering to the entire community as opposed to just one individual person coming there trying to learn. So we created this meetup that literally for 3.5 years, we trained people on the ins and outs of fundamentals around development, and then we would send them back out to those meetup groups as people that actually understood the technology and knew what they were talking about. So it was kind of fun. And I've placed hundreds of open source developers throughout the years. Last 3 years alone, I've literally placed 350 open source developers, I believe. Roughly, it's probably close to that. Now, I say open source, mainly Java, but not as much PHP or Drupal, but y'all are very rare finds, so it's kind of few and far between with those. I've also kind of moved into corporate recruiting as opposed to doing staffing recruiting. So for the last 3 years or so, I've been doing actual working for a company and building a company as opposed to being like a staffing recruiter. So I'm not one of those creepy guys that slips into your messages on LinkedIn or something like that and hounds you or calls you hundreds of times. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about. So the community, how it's benefited me personally and in my career, how the community has benefited you as a consumer of open source, what you do to benefit others, or what you can do to benefit others, what you would like to see from others in the community, and then I want to do some brainstorming on how we can kind of go back. I'm supposed to say number 4. My bad. All right, so how has the community benefited me? Well, so I learned a lot from it. I made a lot of money with it, and I developed relationships through it. So in recruiting, you're very commission-driven, right? So it's a sales job, all right, when you're a recruiter. So you have to understand how to sell opportunities and all that kind of stuff. Well, the only way I could really do that effectively in place of other recruiters is being able to immediately establish rapport. The only way I can immediately establish rapport when I'm talking to a developer on the phone is to tell them I'm a developer. I never really had the heart to lie to any of my candidates, so the only way I could do it is actually by practice. So that's why I joined ADUG. I learned how to do Drupal, and I kept my PHP skills sharp, web design skills and all that. I even have a little startup on the side with a couple buddies of mine, and we do a lot of design work and development work for this one application I don't want to tell you all about because we haven't launched it yet. But the point is that I've had to keep my skills sharp even as a salesperson for years in the open source community, and the only way I was able to do that is because of the open source community. It's free. It's great. It's a wealth of knowledge. Millions of developers all throughout the world that have collectively come together and posted all of this information online for me to just be able to quickly Google it, right? So it's been quite effective. And making money off of that really is, once I establish that rapport with the candidates, they want to work with me that much further. So I've been able to make meaningful placements with people that are otherwise hard to work with from a recruiter perspective, or hate working recruiter. Oh, I hate recruiters. I could always turn those kind of people in my favor and be able to place them in positions that they really wanted. And then relationships as a whole. I've made a lot of relationships with a lot of different people in the community in general, and kind of worked with a ton of different CEOs, CFOs, CTOs, whatever, and worked with a lot of different companies throughout all of Atlanta. Probably around 300 or 400 different companies in Atlanta. I've done staffing for them one way, shape, or form. So how did this happen? How did I kind of have all of this kind of come back to me, right? How did I benefit from the community itself? Like, where did I make these relationships, or how did I make these relationships? Anyone want to take a guess as to what I had to give back? Huh? Attending meetups? Well, that's part of it. That's part of it. So it's really, gave my time. There you go, right? Time is the most valuable resource you have as a person, right? It's most valuable. It's fleeting, right? Time just keeps marching on, right? So because of that, if you give someone your time and energy and focus on something that they need to do, they're going to give you something in return. So that's why I really wanted to focus on ADUG and really kind of put my time into it, so that I could really benefit back to the community that really gave me a good start in my career. Open source in general, but ADUG just kind of called to me. So, quote by me, I have never made a dime off Drupal. I've placed one Drupal developer in my time, and it was before I was with ADUG. But I did off of knowing about open source technology. So I made a lot of money off open source technology, and just understanding it in general because of the fact that I was able to establish that rapport with a lot of candidates and place a lot of people, right? But at the same time, the biggest part about this is I've never been interested in profiting off the user group community, never, right? I've always wanted to just use it from a relationship perspective and connect with people, right? You all see me out tonight at the FADO just having fun with a lot of the friends that I've made through ADUG over the years. After stepping down, it was kind of hard for me to do that last year, to step down as the president of ADUG, because I had been so involved in it for years. And, Kaleem, he's a good friend of mine. Sarah and Nikki, I worked very closely with them for the past year, 2 years almost. Like he was talking about with Savah, Randall Kent, and Media Current, Dave Terry. I've had lunches with them. I've had numerous conference calls. I can't even remember how many times on Hangouts I've talked to them over the past couple of years, planning these events and kind of working with them to try to figure things out. And I wouldn't have those connections otherwise. And they're amazing people in this tech space here in Atlanta. Given my technical knowledge is dated, so I can't come out and just like bust out some PHP for you right now. I probably could, but it'd be more procedural. I've been more doing design and architecture more recently. So basically how I can help is get people careers. Give my time for them to be able to get a job, whether I'm just giving advice or I'm going to different career fairs and helping out, or in general helping them with their resumes, interviewing skills and tactics, things like that. I'd much rather give you that knowledge so that you can essentially go out and find a career that'll benefit your life, your standard of living, your family, your benefits, all that, rather than just making a placement to make money off you. I don't do that anymore. That's why I went the corporate route. So what I also get out of it was a vast world of collective knowledge to keep my skills sharp. So this helped me kind of disqualify and qualify candidates. So I could have a technical conversation with a candidate over the phone, and the hiring managers at my company would actually trust all of the submittals that I would send over because they knew that I'd at least had a technical phone screen with a candidate. And as a recruiter, that was a very rare skill set to have. Just, I get messages all the time on LinkedIn, like, hey, you want to come recruit for us? No, I don't. I want to do it my own way. So this is the value I find from open source. So I want to ask, does anyone here, and I know it's kind of dropping a heavier question on you, what kind of value have you found from open source? Anyone? Yeah, Doug. Collaboration? Yeah. Unpack it a little bit.
We tackle problems as a community, as a team, whether it's internal in the company or a meetup group or international. It's collaboration. It's not all on me.
Yeah. Have you used that collaboration to solve problems on like day-to-day job or on projects you've been working on?
Absolutely.
And you've given people that advice in return?
Absolutely.
That's what the community's about, right? That's what the entire open source world is about, solving problems, right? And doing it, just out of the sheer fact that you need to solve a problem, right? My wife always gets mad at me, like when I'm doing stuff around the house or something like that, and I can't figure something out. Like right now, my car, give me an example, I have a Cadillac, and that Cadillac's hood was just replaced because I ran into someone in Buckhead who decided to take a left when they shouldn't have. And I had to have my hood replaced, front grille, and all that stuff. My windshield wiper sprayers don't work right now. And literally Saturday, I sat there after trying them for the first time and them not working. I sat there just staring at the TV, not paying attention to anything. And she's like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "It's nothing." She's like, "What do you mean it's nothing? What's wrong? Are you okay?" And I said, "The windshield wiper sprayers won't work on my car." And she's like, "That's the problem?" That is the problem. I'm sitting there trying to solve it in my mind, trying to figure out what's going on, right? Everyone has like this incarnate feeling to actually solve a problem. So in the open source community, typically people feed off of that. They see a problem out there on Stack Overflow. Let me give my advice, right? Let me try to solve this. I think I can figure this out. I mean, how many times have you ever gone on to like Stack Overflow or on like Drupal forums or something like that and seen someone come up with a problem, and then you sit there and try to work out the problem that other person has to give them the response?
I've been over now a couple times.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, you're giving them your time as well as your ability to look at something from a different perspective. So that's cool. So how have you all benefited from the open source community? Anyone? Yeah.
So the first time I got paid to build a website, I used a proprietary piece of software called e-commerce templates. Mm-hmm. And in order to even use that piece of software, in order to learn to do my job, I had to find an opportunity to work with somebody who was willing to pay them those licensing fees, right? Mm-hmm. I couldn't use their tools to build a website. I couldn't build something for myself to prove that I knew what I was doing, that I could lean on a community of other people to help me that were in the same boat. And then I landed in Drupal shortly thereafter and found that I have everything I need at my fingertips to use the software, to learn the software, to reach out to a community of people who are excited to talk to young people who have never seen this stuff before, that might have new things to offer, or just might give them an opportunity to speak through something that they've been thinking about but otherwise haven't had a chance to articulate.
Yeah.
So having access to technology that can benefit people and not having to pay to learn that technology is huge with open source.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else have anything else they want to add? Anyone? Yeah. Don't use e-commerce templates. Got it.
I've benefited from the community.
Yeah.
People tell me what things not to use.
What things not to use. There you go. How many people have had that happen? Show of hands. Anyone?
Everybody in this room.
Yeah, everyone in this room? Yeah. Well, don't use e-commerce templates. All right. It's kind of interesting. What about your job and career path that you've taken, right? So how many people in here got into Drupal because they learned Drupal on their own? Right? How did you learn Drupal on your own? Someone had to have written that curriculum for you. Someone had to have had those YouTube channels open for you to be able to actually walk through like the admin page or something like that to figure things out, or how to break down a module, or how to actually understand a theme, right? Documentation, all that kind of stuff. They definitely helped you out in your career. What about clients? How many people do freelance Drupal development work? Yeah, have you gotten clients through the community? Coming to events like this, maybe, right? Technical knowledge in general, relationships. How many people have made friends from DCA or from other kind of Drupal camps? Exactly, right? So you can't just always think about it just tangibly from a just technology. There's so much more to the user community in general, right? That you can really benefit from or find value in. If, of course, you value having friends. I mean, I know some of us just like ordering Uber all the time. Overrated, right. So what do you do to benefit others? Yeah?
Travel to camps and deliver sessions.
Yeah. So you did a training yesterday, right? Or this morning?
Yesterday and today.
Yeah, yesterday and today. Yeah. Doug is relentless with doing Drupal camps and trainings. 73rd camp. There he is. What about anyone else? Anyone? Well, it's double digits, but you're in the teens. Has anyone else ever committed code? Yeah? Why haven't you, the rest of you, committed code? Proprietary? Yeah. Just getting started? Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not going to call you out then. Yeah, we're not. Yeah. You see, one of the big things about kind of committing code back to Drupal, is, especially like small little feature sets. You don't have to commit your entire site, right? Not your business plan, not your overall model that you've built or your architecture. Small little fixes that you've had to make here and there. Someone else might be sitting there scratching their head trying to figure things out, or slamming their head against their desk, or throwing their laptop to try to figure something out. I know my laptop was, when I was actually doing development work, was my escape for four-letter words. I learned a lot of very creative ways to use words with my laptop when it decided not to work sometimes, or the program I was writing wasn't working. You know, you could be saving a lot of time and frustration for others in the community by uploading your code, or by doing certain fixes or something along those lines, right? What about, anyone ever answer anything on Stack Overflow? Yeah, it's a great site for it. Yeah, kind of. You ever gotten answers from Stack Overflow? Yeah, yeah. Give answers too, right? That's how the community kind of grows, right? Present topics at conferences. How many people have done that, apart from Doug? Okay, yeah. Okay. What about evangelize the tech you use? How many times have you ever told a client or told a company, well, maybe you should use Drupal, and here's why, right? How many times have you ever, in a corporate setting or something like that, I don't know how many people here work in companies that maybe we're thinking about going with a new CMS or with some kind of website, and you said, maybe we should use Drupal. Here's why. Right? Becoming more of an evangelist of the technology. How many people in here have trained younger developers in open source technology? Yeah? Right? So this is what you're doing to benefit others in the open source community. Right? Wait, do what? Well, age-wise doesn't matter when open source. That's the beauty of it. Exactly. Do you want to hear wear funny hats? I mean, you're wearing a Michigan hat. That's funny. Just kidding. Sorry. Eat too much cheese. You know, one of the big things about kind of training the younger developers in open source technology. Open source is so vast, right? It covers everything, even enterprise technologies. Like the company I work for, we use Java, Spring. Do a lot of work with Vue, and we're creating enterprise-level SaaS applications, right? It's still open source, right? A lot of the answers that we're getting to solve enterprise problems come from the community in a lot of cases. And what we're trying to do is provide a lot of the fixes that we've been creating for our own proprietary software back to the community as well in return, right? Really evangelizing that open source community inside the company of giving, because it also creates our engineering team's culture in a more positive way. They help each other out even much more when we actually told them that they should start uploading some of their code, right? Hey, maybe you guys should start uploading some code to GitHub. Okay, great. So they started doing it, and they're saying, well, hey, you uploaded this. I was trying to fix that over here. Well, all right, well, let's talk about it, right? So the collaboration on the team actually got better by us telling them that, hey, you should start uploading things. So it's kind of a fun little side effect of that. So what would you like to see more of in the open source world, or in Drupal for that matter? Anyone?
So perfect.
It's perfect, yeah. It's no problems. What about problems? Do you see any problems with open source technology? Documentation. Yeah, that one was on the tip of the tongue the whole time. Yeah. So documentation on certain texts that people are uploading that solve a certain problem you have, or that doesn't exist. Yeah. 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 How could we solve that kind of problem? Fork it. Fork it. Rename it. Yeah. Yeah.
And well documented too.
Yeah. I mean, the whole point of this question is not, not for us to solve everything right here, right? It's more so to get us thinking about, how we kind of approach the community ourselves individually, right? If we would like to see something done, everyone would like to see something done. Actually doing it is the problem, right? Taking that time and spending that time to actually get back to the community. That's a tough thing. We have our young developer over here who's trying to learn these kind of things. So how does he put himself into a position to learn things? By leveraging other people's experience, right? How do we help him do that? Documentation, right? If he has no idea how to use this specific technology because there's no documentation on it, right? It makes it very difficult for him to be able to learn and solve those problems unless you spend hours and hours solving the problem yourself, right? Or days or weeks. I remember we had this one specific function we were writing for this internship tracking software I was writing, and literally the problem was this was back in 2004, so it was an older version of Eclipse we were using in comparison to today, and it did not want to search for individual variable names. You had to just click on one and have it highlight everywhere, but the code was so dense because they were collapsing everything down because we thought that would make it run faster. The word create was spelled CRAETE in a variable name as opposed to CREATE, right? And it was just in one place, and spent a week trying to solve that problem, right? And we finally saw the typo, and you're just looking over the code every time, and you just see CR and then TE, and it's like, okay, it's create, right? And it just went over it dozens and dozens and dozens of times. I really wish I would have, did a Control F on that one. Try to find that one. All right, so what can we do to get others to do things we want to see? So this kind of a piggyback off that first question. So pay them?
I've done that. I've read that today. I'm going to pay you to make this better.
Okay. Have you ever paid someone for documentation? No? No.
That's what I pay for documentation.
Yeah. So you paid for documentation. What about, has anyone ever kind of encouraged someone that's created some kind of app to help them out, or reached out to them to give it or get advice on how to use it or something like that? Something they've downloaded? Say again? You've attempted? Never heard back? Yeah. Black holes of uploaded software. Yep. Yep. Did you ever reach out to the e-commerce template people? They wanted more money? Of course they did. Yeah. Wouldn't be open source without it, right? I think one of the things that, so when I was a developer, and the two applications we created was this internship and this alumni tracking database for Georgia Southern. And we wrote the whole things out, and it was all procedural PHP. It was disgusting. We should have used something like Drupal, but Drupal had just been created around then. And we created all this code and all these different feature sets and all that kind of stuff. We documented it to a certain extent on how to actually administer it, how to install it. I literally 6 months ago got an email because we uploaded it to SourceForge.net back in the day. I literally got an email like 6 months ago asking for help on it. I'm like, I have no idea. And it was some church out in, I want to say it was in like Houston or something like that. Some church had downloaded the alumni tracking database to track their members, and they wanted to convert some of the code or the interface itself because it was just like a view that went in and was wrapped by Georgia Southern's website back when they were doing it that way. So it's almost like you would just install it as almost like an iframe or something like that in the center. So they had downloaded this thing to track all of their congregation because they didn't want to buy something, and they just Googled it and they found this thing and they decided to throw it up there. And he was asking me all these questions. I'm like, dude, I haven't seen that code in years, and the email was probably like 30 questions long. And I'm like, it's probably broken because of the fact you just downloaded like a new version of PHP or something. This was like PHP 5 right when it came out. Yeah, it's like, come on, man. But the point was is that I still tried to help him answer his question, right? So, from a documentation perspective, definitely important. I think from another perspective, maybe hoping or encouraging people to keep things updated. I think that would be another one. I'd want to see other people update their stuff more often. A lot of times people will solve something, just upload it and move on, right? And they might update it down the line or fix it for another application they're doing, and they may not actually throw it back in there or upload it again. I'd like to see more of that. Anything else? Anyone else want to spark anything? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Making sure that they have the opportunity.
That brings up a good point. Is there any site or any place that you could go to be able to reach out and ask for advice or mentorship? I wonder if someone could create something like that. A bunch of developers in here. Well, see, and that's the thing, right? Open source is not always about being paid to get it done, right? It's, a lot of cases about just solving a problem, right? And that's kind of how we hit on before. I think it'd be cool if someone had like an exchange for like mentorship that was like free mentorship. Whether it's just creating a little forum or like some easy kind of Drupal page or something like that, or actually getting a little bit more formal with it and actually having community events, something along those lines. There you go. Or, so we were using Crowdcast for Minicamp Atlanta, and maybe setting up information sessions with that, partnering with ADUG because they actually have a license for it. I think it's like $90 a month if you're actually using it, $10 a month if you just want them to store the data. I think that could be a cool one where you jump on Crowdcast or like promote that out to your network or just like post it on Drupal groups or something like that. See if people can help out. Any other ideas? And again, we're going to solve all these problems right in here. We only got a couple more minutes left. So, that's really what this whole session was kind of about, is to just kind of talk about, how we can kind of benefit the community and how we can really leverage our knowledge as developers or people that are kind of involved in the community to help others thrive and to kind of shepherd in the new developers, right? So, being a younger developer on the, in the community, it'd be great to be able to learn from others, right? And I mean, especially if you're more of a visual learner like I am, where I need to see it done in order to understand it. I think that YouTube has come a really long way in being able to do that, and like people have been, kind of showing you or walking you through things. You can go on there and see all of our past DrupalCamp videos, right? In like 6 months, because Utsu's really slow at doing it. He'll upload these videos. Hopefully he catches that I did that right into the mic, or else he's just going to upload it. But we'll upload all of this stuff to the actual website, so you guys can go back and look at all the sessions you might have missed. Because you're like, man, I regret going and seeing Zach in there, so I want to go see what the other sessions were about. Yeah.
Shout out to Drupal.tv.
Drupal.tv? Yeah.
All the camps, the last couple of years have been, even the archive ones have been uploaded.
Oh, really?
And a lot of the fresh ones have been uploaded before the camp's over sometimes.
Awesome. Is there a way to like integrate with that, like from like a YouTube channel or something like that, or is it, or like Vimeo?
I think this is YouTube videos. Yeah, it is YouTube videos.
So he's just embedded in YouTube.
Oh, okay. Are the ADUG videos on there?
So Meetup Meetup has to do it. He'll work with them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. That's pretty cool. That's a great way to serve the community right there, especially if it's free. Is it free?
Well, it's free to see the videos.
They have advertising on it? Okay, that's where they make money. Got it. Okay. All right. How many people in here are part of their local community? Or like, how many people are in here from Atlanta? First off, a couple. How many are part of their local community wherever they're at? Their local Drupal user group community, or you have no local community.
I started one left a couple of years.
Where are you at again?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay. Yeah. Tallahassee now. Yeah. So you just come to camps. I mean, you basically created your own community by going to camps. I mean, yeah, there it is. But yeah, the camps really help out with that because it's like a one-time shot kind of thing, right? Did you go to the trainings yesterday or today? You did? Oh, you were in Doug's training? Oh, nice. All right, so you know how to program Drupal now? Sure. Hello world. Yeah. Yeah. How much? Yeah. What you gonna pay me? All right. So that's really it. I'll let you guys get back to the rest of the conference here. But if you guys have any questions or want to chat or anything like that, feel free to come on over or shoot me something on LinkedIn. Be happy to connect. Got a crazy new headshot up there.
I like
the double guns. You like the double guns? Yeah. Yeah.